Well, hey, good morning. It is April 12th, 2024. This is the BlueGamer Bluecast morning show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, video game playing professional. Or is that actually true? Because I'm not like an esports or anything, but I know too much. And that's why I'm going to use this time to share that information. What I'll do is I'll start with a little bit of what I did yesterday gaming-wise and then jump into the news. First of all, during the week, my gaming time is a little bit limited, with work or what other stuff might come up. But I was still, tweaking on this this device here. I love the new case I got for it, or the phone itself, so it's even more snug and secure in this. And this has been great to use. I've been using all the different emulator front ends to test them out. I still feel like while it's one of the hardest ways to set it up, not necessarily the hardest, more cumbersome ways, Android emulation is probably the best way to go, just because you have total control of the operating system. You could tweak things however you like. The different front ends are very interesting because I want to use Emulation Station, but there's so much manual setup and waiting when you're scraping stuff, whereas like things like Launchbox does some of that automatically, where it's filling in the artwork, all the data, and you don't have to do too much. There's something to having a library accessible to you that you can go and play games wherever you want, but then there's having a library accessible to you where you can go and play games wherever you want that has an amazing looking front end, easy to navigate. But still, in the year 2024, it takes a lot of setup to get that working. So while I'm tweaking that, I was, playing a little bit more of Circle of the Moon, because I think that's the next Castlevania game I'm going to play through again. I was thinking Dawn of Sorrow, but I'm having fun with the Game Boy Advance ones, because they sort of have, I don't want to call it jank. What's the term? For the time period they were made in and for the device they were on, the Game Boy Advance, think about it. We had Symphony of the Night on PlayStation, but even by the time it got to the Game Boy Advance, which was like 5 years later, the technology still wasn't able to replicate that. So it's interesting to see the Konami developers try their best to replicate what came out of Symphony of the Night. Another cool thing about that is, I've been collecting the Castlevania vinyl records for a while. I think I have 3. Rondo of Blood, Rebirth, The Adventure Rebirth, and Symphony of the Night. And like last year, or at one point, Limited Run Games did something where you can get like some special edition Castlevania Symphony of the Night stuff. Or no, the Advance, because the Advance collection came out. That's right. Limited Run did a limited run of like physical stuff. And they had the vinyl records for the 3 Advance games. And I guess by the time I got to it was like I could pre-order. And I was like, okay, I'll pre-order this eventually. And then it got sold out. And I was like, oh, well, that stinks. So it's been like 6 months or so. I forget how long, where it's just been sold out but not released yet. Well, it must have just been released the other day, because I just happened to see all 3 vinyls on Materia, they're called, record store. And so what I'm assuming is they had pre-ordered some, so they would have it in stock. And so I grabbed it. They're not expensive, relatively speaking, especially if you're buying like 3 vinyl. Buying 3 vinyl, one's a 2-pack. A really good price. I'm so happy that I'm able to get those, because the music in those advanced games are still good. Even though it's like lesser tech, it's still great stuff. I have a record player right here. I love using it. Sometimes I'll just, in the mornings or while I'm working, I'll just turn stuff on, let it go. So I am excited to be getting those Castlevania advanced soundtracks on vinyl. And then other than that, what was I playing yesterday? Double Dragon Gaiden was the main thing since that DLC came out. I love the game. I actually went through, I did like 3 rounds of the survival that got me enough tokens to buy all the characters. So then my favorite character, Sonny Lee, which I think is a play on either a misspelling or an error from the original, one of the original games of that character, because there's Jimmy and Billy Lee, and then the Sonny, and then there's like Jammy or Limmy. Anyway, but this character's really cool because I love his moveset. That's what's neat about the Ninja Gaiden game, Double Dragon Gaiden game, is that each character has like a very specific and interesting moveset. Sonny is like a drunken master. He, like if you remember Jackie Chan, or what is it? not Soul Calibur, but Dead or Alive has Genfu was his name or something like that. The Drunken Master guy, but not only that, but like the B button or circle, depending on the platform, which is like your action move. Everyone's is a little different. His does a thing where he jumps onto his head and does like the spin kick thing. I think there's an official name for that. Anyway, doing that along with his moveset, he has the most what I would call like where you could play on his moves, do a lot of juggling to move to the next character, and it's really fun. So when I was using him, I was able to get, I think I got to wave 19 or so, or 18 or 17, somewhere around there. And then I got enough tokens to then buy the rest of the new DLC stuff, which I think is just levels. So then if you go back and play survival, then you'll have, more different levels because the levels kind of got samey. The thing is, like, I don't know what else I would do then. Maybe play co-op with people, but it's like I like the games when it's like a challenge to overcome. And then once I've overcome it, I've optimized my play style to overcome it. And it's like I'm done. But I could see Double Dragon Gaiden being the game to go back in every once in a while and do some survival because the combat is just so good and it's so satisfying when you're pulling things off. So that's really about it for what I did yesterday gaming wise. Yeah, because even when I was playing Double Dragon Gaiden, I think I did everything in like 30 minutes. And then playing just a little bit of Circle of the Moon. During the week I don't usually play as much. Sometimes I'll play a little bit, but I'm mainly like tweaking things. But let's jump into news. Let's see news-wise what has been going on. Evil Empire is seeking alpha testers for the Rogue Prince of Persia. So it's just crazy. That's going to come out here pretty soon. The Dead Cells people, a little video clip went out and it looks like you'd expect. Really good looking. I guess I could play. It's just I feel like that's such a specific type of game that has been coming out. Sometimes it's hard for me to play games if I already get the essence of what it is, and then, there's not much more to do, and I tend to move on. Let's see. Could subscription services rescue the AA tier game? That's an opinion piece, and while just by looking at the title, I see where they're getting at here. I also feel like they're not. It's not really related of the success of a AA game versus subscription service because look at Helldivers, and that was funded by a big publisher. I think it's just a matter of knowing how much you're spending on your game and making sure you're getting it into the right places, like Helldivers being on PC, not just PlayStation. I think Warhammer Dawn of War is just going to do good because of the IP. And then they're showing Immortals of Avium, which no one knows what the IP is in the game. It's fine, but it's not like what I was just talking about a second ago, where sometimes I won't finish a game because it's just the same Z the whole time. And that's the thing with Immortals of Avium. Even though it's a cool game, it's not really doing anything new or unique. Helldivers is. It has systems upon systems in a very physics-based environment doing co-op with what people like, Starship Troopers, on top of that. So... and I know they're just showing these examples here. Let's see. Let me just read this real quick. Real quick. Did I say quiz? The demise of the AA tier of video games is now a new topic of discussion. Is not a new topic. Okay, I was about to say what? It's something that has been pointed out and or lamented for well over a decade at this point. Either I'm having trouble reading or the words that are being put together are way more than needed. Okay. With the Xbox 360 era often pointed to as being both the swan song and the beginning of the steep decline for lower budget. Yeah, these are bloated sentences. Oh my God. And it's funny how they say that with the Xbox 360 era often pointed to as being both the swan song and the beginning of steep decline for lower budget. It's more of by the time you get to the 360, we have a lot of development over the past, I would say, decade or two before that, where they could streamline and get out their games. What happened was, it was between, I would say, 360 Call of Duty time that were then, it's the fault of the publishers being like, okay, we need to chase that money. Let's inflate these budgets just a bit more so we can get whatever the marketing, anything out to get the money that we need. I mean, that's really what it is. I think service subscription should always be an option and not the way. Just like right now with digital media, I can go on Vudu and buy any movie I want or stream it on a platform if I'm paying for it. So I think these types of games would exist no matter what. I think what really the opinion here needs to be is, do AAA publishers need subscription services to sort of entice people to stay on their platform? Because these AA games don't have platforms that need people to stay on. And the AA games, I think, do well on their own just because they're lower budgeted in the first place. So, okay. Let's see, some Pokemon stuff. Sorry, I'm not a Pokemon guy. Same with Pal World, but a new update coming out. Okay, Nintendo has added 3 more games to Switch Online's SNES library. Now, this is something I could just do on an emulator, but I do think it's cool that they still do this. And this is... So the games are something that only came out in Japan, and then Super R-Type, which was the first Super Nintendo game I think I played. I think we rented a Super Nintendo, and I think it was only Super R-Type and maybe Mario World that was out at the time, but loved that. So here's what's interesting. Like, anyone that really wanted to can play these with emulators. It is nice, though, that Nintendo releases these on their main platform. I just feel like they need to have everything available and just maybe do a thing where it's like, here's the April game showcase where they pick 3 games from their entire library that are like, here's something you should try out. Because it really is difficult if you just want to play any game with an emulator. It's kind of, for me, it's easy, but for the average person that is probably looking at their Switch that they don't know how to do emulation, it's good that this stuff is available. I just wish it was the whole library. And I would be worrying less about emulating old games if I had them accessible to me. Bloodstrike reaches 30 million downloads. Okay, I haven't heard of Bloodstrike. First-person shooter. It's from NetEase, Chinese company, but it doesn't matter. It's Battle Royale. October 28th. So that was all that this was about. Interesting how they could take a tweet and then make an article. I mean, I know they've been doing that forever, but literally the article is just a link to the tweet. Interesting. 30 million downloads. I mean, what is the actual player count? But still, I wonder if this is interesting. I'm just not into necessarily battle royales, or if I'm going to get into another online competitive game, there has to be really something unique about it. What's cool about Helldivers is it's not competitive, it's PvE. This is more of that competitive type, which I have fun with Call of Duty, but then do I need more? Not really. All right. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth update fixes a platinum trophy bug. I remember hearing about that, and I know how much people like those, so that's good that they got that fixed. Baldur's Gate 3 wins big at the BAFTAs. Good, that's cool. I like the development process of this game, where it was in early access, so people got to give feedback to the developers. Not my type of game, although it's sad because I feel like it looks cool, it seems cool, but it is sort of that you stand there, you choose what you're going to do. It's more about the story than the mechanics. I play games for mechanics. Looking ahead, the lingering question about the next Mario Kart. That's pretty good. So this is an editorial, so I probably won't read it, but it is a cool question that this person, Mark Nielsen's, bringing up, because we look how long Mario Kart 8 has been out, and that's been since 2014 on the Wii U. And yeah, we're 10 years later. There's so much content. Like, what do they do? Do they make a new one where it has less maps and you wait for new maps? That's interesting. I don't know what they would do. I really don't. Unless it would just have to play different enough where it's not competing with itself. Although, could you argue that enough people own this game where people are hungry to buy the next one? And it's like, okay, this new one's not going to have everything unlocked from the start, but you still have Mario Kart 8 if you want to play, or somehow do some sort of linking where, make it where it's worth spending time with the game. So when the next one comes out, that was a discussion going on with Dead Space, because the idea of relaunching Dead Space was then to double down on that genre for EA, but it just didn't sell well. So they were like, okay, we're just not going to do that second. But that's not how you do it. That first one is the investment to then continue, and then you can get a dedicated fan base because you have a following. Dead Space already has that, actually, and they think just because the first one didn't sell that no one wanted it. But it's not really that. It was when people are spending money on something, and Mario Kart's a good example. It's like, what are you going to get out of it, and what is next in that line with Mario Karts? Mario Karts have been coming out forever. Nintendo it's like you can count on Nintendo coming out with another Mario Kart. So that's what EA needed to do with Dead Space. They just need to go ahead and make that second one, even if it's different. Like, even if they decide to do it where they're changing the direction of the games, they just need to do something. Okay, let's see. Wow, that's pretty neat. So check that article out, because that guy really went into detail about more than I'm even doing justice. All right, let's see. Warhorse Studios did Kingdom Come Deliverance. I know that's popular. They have a new game coming out. Gray Zone Warfare. These names just don't do anything. Huh. Yeah, I don't know too much about this game. They're saying if you're a fan of games like Escape from Tarkov. Okay, so these tactical shooters. Let's see. Yeah, Baldur's Gate winning awards, obviously. Todd Howard on an Elder Scrolls TV show. I keep saying no, but you never know. Speaking of that, and I don't know if we're going to get into any news about it, but I'll just bring it up. So, Fallout TV show, is it actually out? Yes, the first season is available to watch. So I need to check it out so I can talk about it on here. I'm not a fan of the Fallout games, just because the mechanics have always been sort of kind of basic for me. It's been more about the narrative, so I've never really gotten into them. But I'd like to check out the show. Let's see if there's anything else. IGDA calls for action on layoffs. Yeah, the layoff thing is very interesting because it's almost like an inevitability. If you're working on a project and the project has an end, you would have to assume that you would need more work. I mean, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but like I was working at a company to where my position became contract, so I left and went to one that wasn't. I mean, you could still get laid off, but it's just you gotta know like your zone and how to maneuver that. Oh, hey, Steven, a Midnight Hatter. Well said. The first game is just a glorified demo. Helldivers is another good example of a first game being more of a marketing attempt for the second game. Yeah, that's what it is. It's you know, it's like with the DCEU, and it's like after Batman versus Superman, they just decided to give up on that, and I don't think they should have. You got to build it up over time. Let's see. EA is shutting down the Apex Legends UK QA team with around, okay, what's a QA team of 50 people? Hopefully they find new jobs. Let's see. So, okay, let's see. Xbox rolls out April update for console and PC. Oh, that would be great to update the Xbox app. There's always little issues with it. During March, Twitch viewership increased by 2%. Interesting, because there is this sort of talk about Twitch just slowly just dying. Like, here's what's interesting about Twitch. Apparently, the issue is it focuses on a very specific demographic, age, you know, primarily male, but a lot of female. And what happens is that demographic grows out of Twitch, and the issue is sometimes the younger demographics that are then moving into that demographic don't really care about Twitch. But then to see that it's grown 2%, although it's not a lot, and who knows what happened during that, during that month, if there was like an event or a certain streamer doing something. And that's funny because I could post to Twitch. I had it set up automatically before, then I just forgot about it because nothing ever happens there. I used to stream on Twitch, and I guess if I continued, maybe I would see more success. It's just I saw more success on YouTube quicker. Like, especially, I feel like there's a lot of gamification to using Twitch, whereas YouTube is just straight up, here, watch this. React, comment. But there's all this, when you're on Twitch, things are being thrown in your face to like, be part of this ecosystem, buy these bits, watch, yeah, it's just not, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a sort of standard, like, video game streaming platform. Like, there should be one main one, because YouTube is just more of everything, but it's still fine to do game streaming on there. But it's just the way Twitch is going about it, I don't know. I do like the idea, though, that apparently, like, you would have to pay more, but you could then use their servers to stream, which removes, like, latency and stuff, which is pretty cool. Switch and Xbox Series sales up year over year. So, again, here's this other thing where you hear people say the video game industry or even Twitch is dying, but, like, in Japan, Xbox Series sales are up. I mean, that sounds crazy. But that's cool. And I think, it's funny how a lot of the argument is, where the game industry is moving, that, people just aren't into games as much anymore. And it's like, no, more people are into games now than ever. It's what we're hearing from the corp speak is that they're expecting increases, when that's just a guess. There's no way to know if what you're doing is, especially once you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, this is how much we can make doing this. Then you would think the company would go back and be like, okay, let's cut what we need to so we can maintain only making this amount. But that's not what happens. A lot of times these board members are like, well, we need to figure out a way to make more. What do we need to do to the product to make more? And that's when you lose a core audience, and then the product eventually goes away, and then they try to bring it back. Yeah, it happens all the time. Oh, yeah, Steven's saying, I know the layoffs have people talking about video games dying, but that's, I hate that part that's in the way. That's not a good metric to base that claim on. Exactly. Layoffs are unfortunately a standard business practice. Yeah, that's the other thing I've learned, that I've been laid off multiple times in my professional career, and whether it's right or wrong, I just realized, okay, I have to be cognizant of that as I'm getting jobs, or if I have a job where I feel like there's an issue, or just prepare myself for something else. And I almost feel like, on one hand, that seems unfair to people that just want a job they can sit at and just get a paycheck. But I don't know. I think if you just want a job with a paycheck you can sit at, you can find that. It does exist. Oh, hey, Chad, the older of the Blues brothers. Good morning. So anyway, yeah, I think a lot of examples here to really show the games aren't dying, and they're probably going to always grow just a small percentage. It's unless we have like this huge influx of population on Earth, and like technology made the internet easier for people to download things, then we would probably see more of an uptick. But there's that blockage that has to do with technology and, economic status and around the world. And then, yeah, some more Fallout stuff. Monster Jam showcase. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so let me jump to something else real quick. So news, not too crazy for today. But this is saying PlayStation dropping 200 hours worth of free games for you this month. How do they know it's 200 hours of free games? Think about that. Okay, April's full list of PlayStation Plus extra editions includes the Ozma, all these words I have trouble with in the morning. Lego stuff. Nothing out of that seems interesting. But 200 hours? What, did they play it all and log their time? They're like, this took me 200 hours. I don't know, I'm just joking. I guess that's about it, really. Not too much going on this morning. What's really cool is, with the weekend, let's see what other news comes out from the weekend and what other games I get into. Monday will probably be a little more interesting of a show, but yeah, that's it for this episode. Thanks for all that were watching and joining, and have a good rest of the day. I have to get to work, so it was fun doing this. I will talk to you all later. See ya.